back, we're going to begin 3.3, which is on polynomial identities. We're going to learn how to factor the difference of two cubes and the sum of two cubes. So if you recall back to Unit 2, we learned how to factor the difference of two squares and perfect square trinomials. We need to make sure we remember those, so we're going to quickly review those. So if I have a difference of two cubes, like x squared minus 16, I can quickly factor that to x plus 4 and times x minus 4. Okay, as I have a perfect square and perfect square. Remember to identify this entire thing. So this is the same thing as 2x quantity squared. That would be my a squared minus my 5y quantity squared. And so that, if I'm going to factor that, that would be 2x plus 5y times 2x minus 5y. Okay, and you could, of course, write that as 2x minus 5y times 2x plus 5y, same thing. Okay, that's a difference of two squares. Now, what about my perfect square trinomials? So remember, if I have x squared here, minus, if this is 4 squared, then this middle part should be 2 times 4 times x. And that is my form of my perfect square trinomial. Then to factor that, that would just be my x and my 4. And of course, this sign always determines what goes there. So it's x minus 4 quantity squared. Okay. Again, if we're going to do it when we have something other than a 1 as a coefficient, this would be 2x quantity squared plus, and then this would be my 6 quantity squared. So this middle term should be 2 times my first term, 2x, times my last term, 6. So we have 2x squared plus 2 times 2x plus 6 times 6 squared. Then to factor that, if you recall, is going to be just 2x and then plus 6 quantity squared. And again, this sign determines what goes there, right? This sign here determines what goes there, okay? And that's how you factor the perfect square trinomial. Well, now with these perfect square trinomials, you can actually go forward and backwards, okay? So I can go from having my difference of two squares here to just know if this is 3x squared minus 5y times 3x squared plus 5y. I don't have to do the whole FOIL. I know that this opposite terms are going to just cancel out. So it's just going to be 3x squared minus 5y squared. So that will end up being 3x to the 4th, or excuse me, sorry about that. 9 squared, 3 squared will be 9, and then x squared will be to the 4th power, minus 5 squared will be 25, and then y squared. Okay, so we can actually, this will go either way. I can either use it to factor, or I can use it to what's called expand, going this way. Okay, either way. All right, it goes the same thing with our binomials. Okay, if I have a perfect square trinomial, we can follow this form here. So this is my a and my b. So I would go x squared. Since it's a subtraction sign, right, I would use this minus 2 times my a times my b, which is 5, minus my, or excuse me, plus my b squared, which would be 5 squared. So x squared minus 10x plus 25. So again, all those forms can be used forward or backwards to factor or to expand. We call it expanding. Okay. So that is those difference of two squares, my perfect square trinomials, okay, my dots and my We're going to add 2 to that, called the sum of cubes and difference of cubes. So instead of being perfect squares, they're going to be perfect cubes, okay? So you might want to write this down and try to memorize this particular formula here. The way it goes is if I have a sum of 2 cubes, so some number cubed plus another number cubed, you're going to start off with just that a plus b, just the number, you know, the root of the number plus b. Then it's going to go a squared. So you're going to take that number squared. Whatever this sign is here, that's going to be opposite. The rest of them are plus. Okay. So whatever this sign is, that's the same. And then that just changes. Okay. Same thing here. Whatever the sign is, that first one is going to be the same. That one changes. The end one is always going to be positive. Okay. And then the rest of the form just stays. It goes a minus b, a squared, ab, and b squared. The signs are what changes. So if you can remember the form, it goes a and then b. That plus and minus change, and then a squared, ab times b squared, or b squared, and then just make sure you remember what the signs are. Okay, so it goes the same sign, opposite sign, and then the last one's always the same sign. Okay, so kind of take some time to study those and remember those. Okay, so let's practice this now. So usually this is a pretty simple one, and I put the forms up here in the corner. So we want to identify what is our a and b first of all. So this is like x cubed, right? So my a is x minus what is a cube root of 8? Well, that is 2. So that's going to be 2 cubed, okay? So I want to make sure that I know what my a and my b is, okay? So I'm going to factor that into x plus y, or a plus b, okay? So this is minus actually, so it's going to be this one right here. I'm going to use this form right here. Okay, so it's x cubed minus y cubed. So it's going to be x minus y, so we're going to do our x minus 2. So we're just going to take whatever the root is, x minus 2, times, and now we're going to go x squared. So whatever the root is squared, opposite sign, so plus, and then x times 2, so x times 2. And then that last one's always plus, and whatever this number is, 2 squared. So that's going to be x minus 2. We're just going to simplify it. X squared plus 2x plus 4. This is going to become very, very, very important in learning how to solve polynomials. So you want to make sure you know how to factor a sum of cubes and a difference of cubes, okay? This one happens to be a difference of cubes, okay? Let's try another one. All right, what about this one here? So this one, we've got some different coefficients here, okay? So it's not just straightforward. So what is the cube root of these here? So well, the cube root of 8 is 2, and the cube root of x cubed is x. So this is going to be 2x cubed, okay? Minus the cube root of 27 is going to be 3, and the cube root of y to the 9th is going to be y cubed. Okay, so basically you're going to take 9 divided by 3. Okay, so it's going to be 3y cubed cubed. Okay, so it's always really important to kind of identify what are my a and my b, or what are my x and my y right here. So this is going to be 2x, and then 3y cubed are going to be my 2 root numbers. All right, so now we can go ahead and factor that out. We're going to have just our a minus b, so we're going to use this one again. Okay, so just our x minus y, so just 2x minus 3y cubed. I don't like the fact that they use y here, so this would be a minus b. This would be a squared plus ab plus b squared. Okay, so because we're having variables in x and y, sometimes that confuses people. Okay, so we take our a minus b, so just our term minus our term. So 3x minus 3y cubed times. This is where people get this confused. You have to be very careful right here. A squared, so it's going to be 2x. You have to square the entire term, so 2x squared. Okay, opposite sign, plus my first term times my last term, so 2x times 3y cubed, and then plus my last term squared again. Make sure it's 3y cubed squared. Okay, so here we go. It's going to be 2x minus 3y cubed times, and we're going to square this whole thing. So 2 squared is 4, and then x squared, plus 2 times 3 is 6, x, and then y cubed, plus 3 squared is 9, and then y cubed squared, we're going to multiply those. Remember, you multiply those, is going to be y to the 6th. And that's factored, okay? And so make sure you take your time in writing out those on those different forms, okay? Okay, let's try one more. So here's another one. This one has just a single variable, which is good. And this is going to be my sum. So this is going to be up here on this guy. We're going to use this one. And again, I'm going to rewrite this in terms of a, so it doesn't confuse anybody. So I have a cubed plus b cubed. Whoops, over here. Equals, and we're going to go a plus b, a squared minus ab plus b squared. Okay, so in this case here, my a is going to be the cube root of 27, which is 3, and the cube root of y cubed, which is y. So it's going to be 3y cubed. So my a equals 3y, right? Cube root of 64 is 4 cubed, so my b is equal to 4. Okay, so that's going to factor to, we're going to go a plus b, So we're just going to have our 3y plus 4, okay, times my a squared. So it's going to be 3y, the whole thing, squared. Opposite sign, so minus a times b, so 3y times 4, and then plus my b squared, so 4 squared, all in parentheses. So I'm going to simplify that. That's going to be 3y plus 4 times 3 squared is 9, y squared minus 3 times 4 is 12, and that's y, and then plus, and then 4 squared is 16. And that is factored. So this is the factored form of 27y cubed plus 64. Okay, so it's really just identifying what are my cube roots. That's going to become my a and b. And kind of just plug it into this form here. Okay, try to memorize this form because it's going to be very important when we start solving polynomials next week. Okay, so make sure you know that. Okay. All right, so you have an assignment in 3.21 Excel, factoring sum and differences of squares. And then I will see you guys on our next Zoom. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.